acolytes. Sorry for yesterday. Didn't have the time, simply no time to actually do a video or do YouTube stuff, so it is what it is. Today, I am actually a bit confused about this video because an acolyte actually posted this, and it's from Wilfrew. I don't know the guy, see him the first time. 9.6k views for a 2.68 million YouTube channel. I was a bit confused after I seen this. I was like, what the fuck, this doesn't make sense. I don't know if the acolyte that sent it to me meant that the video would be interesting, or the man's actual YouTube channel that just doesn't get views.
Thus curing 1,000 people's blindness for...
It's just interesting. I mean, look at this. And it went from this count, like 300, 1.2 million, 1.4, 1 million, to freaking this. It's interesting. It's very interesting. But let's start. Let's see. Maybe just because of the video.
It's Wilfer, and we have to talk about the state of journalism right now, because no matter where you lean politically...
Oh, and by the way, journalism is definitively propaganda to a certain degree. Real journalism isn't real journalism, it's actually pure neutral, but not this, the thing we have right now.
What just happened with Donald Trump's 60 Minutes interview should give everyone a bit of pause. When you see things like these unfold, you go, yeah, of course people don't trust the media anymore. Journalism is in shambles right
I think I understand why he got screwed into algorithm if it starts like this. Jesus effing Christ, yeah. Brother. Yes, every politician is a freaking bad guy. Come on. Every single one is a liar. The only thing you can hope for is that they actually will try to do their best to actually make your life better. And the ones that America got beforehand with Biden just didn't do it. They fucked you over. Trump, as he is, I may dislike him, but in the end of the day, he at least tries, or at least there are some positives that come out of his way, or there are some positives that push in the say so.
Now, and it has been for a really long time. What it used to be like is that for decades, people assumed that the news was neutral. You watched the evening broadcast and you believed that that was reality. But over time, people began to notice patterns with how the mainstream networks presented the news. In Europe, for example, an average of 57% of people do not trust the mainstream media. In the United States, that percentage is even higher, with roughly 70% feeling distrust towards the media establishment. And mind you, this isn't just casual skepticism.
See, and this is what I mean. He actually pointed out that if you watch the news with Donald Trump, you have to be a bad one, blah, 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 blah. It's so bad. And now he is going for Germany. He doesn't mention nobody specifically. He doesn't mention anything that the media is actually so corrupt that you literally have posts, or they just don't show stabbings, don't show bad things that other... No, nothing. Yeah, neutral cock at this one. So there is different. I understand the bias right now already.
It's a heavy loss of faith in institutions that were once seen as the beacons of truth. And we've seen a glaring example of how spineless news networks can be with the latest Trump interview. To understand that, we have to go back to October of 2024, just days ahead of the US presidential election. 60 Minutes had aired an interview with Kamala Harris that was later exposed for being selectively edited to make her look more polished and composed than she actually was. It was clear as day that that was a PR piece disguised as journalism. Donald Trump fought back against the manipulation and sued CBS, the station airing the interview, arguing that it was a deliberate interference ahead of the election. And guess what? CBS had to pay Trump $16 million for the way that they had handled that program. It was speculated that there were even more terms and concessions the station made to Trump, one of which, by the looks of it, was to have him on for another 60 Minutes interview, a way to make amends, if you will. So Donald Trump sat down for what was supposed to be a no-holds-barred conversation about his controversy controversial pardons, the government shutdown, maybe something about the Epstein list. But when the episode aired just a few days ago, it was heavily altered. Entire sections seemed to be missing, transitions felt choppy, and what had reportedly been a 90-minute back and forth had been shaved down to just 20-something minutes. And we know this because the raw footage was released, and it's obvious that they intentionally went in trying to softball him and polish his image as much as possible. No matter how you feel about Donald Trump as president, this interview goes to show yet again how mainstream media can't be trusted to show the
well, I agree with him that the entire thing happened, yet definitively. I seen the cut-down version and the original version. The cut-down version was way worse than the actual original one. I just don't know where this argument's coming from. Specifically for the right. I mean, I still agree with him on the entire topic where you just say you cannot trust the media, and I agree with him. You cannot trust the media with Kamala Harris, you cannot trust the media with Trump, you cannot trust the media with anything. Because if you could trust them, they would just leave both things up. Just in their entirety, not cut down, not even for a second. Because maybe there is a bit of a disconnect, because I actually expected Donald Trump to be a freaking tyrant. Or more of a very, 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 very unforgiving guy that actually goes with strength and does those things in a certain way where he will just roll over, or not roll over, just go in, do what he thinks is best for the country and then leave. Right now we just see that he's a bit of a limp dick, or not the worst, but nonetheless, I mean, you know, it's not the freaking amount of bestial behavior I would have expected. So watering it down is, I mean, I personally think it damages his image, even if they try to make it better. But so, and by the way, this happens on both sides. I agree with him, I just don't agree with him to attack only one side and let the other side get off scot-free.
Full picture. First, they used manipulative tactics to undermine Trump by over-polishing his opponent, and when that blew up in their faces, they swung the other way, bending over backwards in an attempt to smooth things over. And I'm here thinking, what happened to real journalism? The kind that challenged both sides and asked them...
Oh, okay, I misunderstood it. Good, for F's sake. I just thought he was one of the freaking haters, but it came across like this. I mean, for F's sake, acolytes, I actually... No, if he actually abolishes both sides, I agree with him. Because both sides do the exact same thing. It's just the exact same fucking thing. So yeah. And as I said, I just think that the watered down version they delivered was way worse for Trump than anything else.
Comfortable questions that didn't care who looked good or bad, and that only focused on bringing out the truth. CBS fumbled it in both directions, so they're doubly incompetent. But this kind of selective reporting isn't something new, and it's not limited to high-profile interviews either. It's part of a larger problem with mainstream journalism, where networks shape narratives first and then worry about the facts later. We've seen this again and again, where complex realities get flattened into these simple headlines that fit the network's chosen storyline. One example that comes to my mind is when podcaster Joe Rogan got COVID back in 2021. He announced that he was treating it with a mix of prescribed medications, including ivermectin. But those who reported on the story, instead of clarifying that he had taken the human version prescribed by a doctor, they simply mocked Rogan, saying that he was taking horse dewormer, turning a nuanced situation into a punchline for those who blindly followed official guidance without questioning the context. And there were a lot of those. Some outlets even aired a visibly altered version of Rogan's post to make him look more pale and sickly, suggesting that he was some sort of a lunatic spreading whatever ideas he himself had come up with. Now, for someone like Joe Rogan, this kind of distortion doesn't have any stakes to it. He's got a much larger platform than any of the networks dunking on him, where he was able to debunk their tactics at his own convenience. But the consequences of heavily biased news reporting get a lot darker when the same playbook is applied to someone who isn't famous at all.
Exactly. I wanted to say the same thing. Attacking Joe Rogan with stuff like this just won't do you any favors. You just look like a clown right now. Every single one of those liars just look like clowns. They know it, Joe Rogan knows it, his audience knows it, but if it would be somebody smaller, no chance. This would actually do some damage, but happily, at least for Joe, it didn't happen.
In August of 2020, the small town of Kenosha erupted into days of violence following the police shooting of Jacob Blake. The video of the incident went viral, sparking outrage and protests that soon spiraled into full-scale riots. Businesses were torched, car lots were burned to the ground, and local shop owners watched their livelihoods disappear overnight. Many residents pleaded for help as law enforcement struggled to contain the chaos. And as this was all going on, 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse traveled to Kenosha to help protect local businesses and offer first aid to anyone who was injured. He carried a rifle which he legally possessed under Wisconsin law and was filmed earlier in the night cleaning graffiti and speaking calmly with police. But as the night unfolded, the situation spiraled out of control. Rittenhouse found himself being chased by a group of rioters, one of whom attempted to grab his weapon, and in the chaos that followed, Rittenhouse shot 3 men, killing 2 and injuring 1. The entire sequence was captured on video from multiple angles, and the footage quickly spread online. And here's where things get ugly, because this is where the media took over the story. Before any investigation could take place, mainstream media outlets immediately jumped in, most of them framing it in a way that fit neatly into their political narrative. He was labeled a white supremacist, a domestic terrorist, and even a mass shooter. Prominent commentators claimed that he had crossed state lines with a rifle to hunt protesters, even though it later emerged that his father lived in Kenosha and that he had not transported the weapon across state borders. The narrative was set within hours. Rittenhouse wasn't a frightened teenager caught in the chaos. He was the embodiment of everything the media had been warning about for a long time: armed right-wing extremism. When the case finally went to trial, more than a year later, those early narratives began to collapse under the weight of evidence. Multiple videos and eyewitness accounts confirmed that Rittenhouse was being pursued and attacked before he fired his weapon. Even the surviving man that he had shot admitted under oath that he had pointed a gun at Rittenhouse before being fired upon. And
True. Yeah, this was actually true, wasn't it?
Despite these revelations, many networks continued to avoid revisiting their earlier claims or...
Yes, and that's the problem with those fuckers, because everybody who misconstrued it should go to jail. Fuck your journalistic freedom thing. If you lie this hard about something, it's not even funny anymore, because everybody says, yeah, journalistic, like, you can claim whatever you want. No, get the fuck out. You can literally destroy lies by lying, even if you know you're lying, even if you like go in and to a high degree just pretend that your statement is true, even if the proof proves you wrong. Sorry, you should go to jail, in my opinion, at some point. If you report it once falsely, fair enough. You don't have all the information, you just want to report on something because people want to know, fair enough. But after the facts are out and you don't correct yourself instantly, then go to jail.
Issuing corrections. Instead, the coverage subtly shifted from accusations of murder to broad reflections about what the verdict says about America. When Rittenhouse was acquitted on all charges in November of 2021, rather than acknowledging the actual facts, the media portrayed the verdict itself as a symbol of racial or political injustice. Commentators warned it would quote-unquote embolden extremists, while headlines used passive ambiguous wording like Rittenhouse walks free, as if the verdict were an arbitrary event rather than a legal outcome based on actual evidence. So even after the trial ended, Rittenhouse's public image remained tainted. The damage was already done. Millions of people who had only heard the early coverage still believed that he was a violent agitator rather than a defendant who had successfully argued self-defense. And I bet that to this day many remain under that impression. The press, who again was once the beacon of truth, has become one of the biggest sources of distortion. And that's why audiences are tuning out. The internet, for all its flaws, has given ordinary people the power to challenge the gatekeepers. And that's happening more and more as time goes on. When the mainstream media distorts interviews in a way that it might even influence elections, and when they target certain people in shameless ways, actively lying and misrepresenting well-documented facts, of course you'll get a situation where nobody trusts the media anymore. I feel like today most people would rather hear an uncomfortable truth from a real human being than be spoon-fed a carefully crafted narrative.
I will say no to that. Yes and no. I think he's half correct. The one half is yes, a lot of people would prefer to know the truth, but it's something confirms their side, then they will believe that more likely than something that doesn't confirm their side. So, I mean, just as I did at the start, at the start I thought this video is just a bashing of the right as we had it for fucking years, like something effing boring, going, okay, another political Trump hater that just goes in and does his stuff that probably wants to off people just because of free speech. But I was wrong. And you can see how powerful this is. I really had to still continue watching this video and actually hearing what he says before I realized, wait, he's actually neutral. He means it for both sides. The opening was just, in my opinion, a bit bashy. What, in my opinion, is a mistake these days, but that's just from my point of view.
From a corporate newsroom. That is a genie that you can't put back in the bottle. And here's the thing, this isn't just an American problem. It's happening all over the world. Yeah. Take Argentina, for example. The media there has done everything it could to undermine their reformist president, Javier Milei, and straight up block his efforts to shake up the system. And it has completely backfired. I'm
gonna be honest. I know the situation, but still, nonetheless, good video. For F's sake, very good video. I'm gonna sub and like this is actually brutally good. It's, how the fuck? Why does this have only 9.6 views? This is insanity. Actually, he's not bashing anyone. He's going on the facts. He's going as he, This view count is extremely surprising. And also those view counts right now just... I'm gonna watch his stuff just to be sure, but... this is surprising right now. What happened? Did YouTube just shaft him? That's impossible. He didn't Okay, as it is, acolytes, I'm gonna be honest, support this guy. It is what it is. I don't know why his videos don't get the views they should get, but it's honestly quite sad. He should get way more, as he did at one point. Then it fell off for some reason. Damn, he deserves way more. But, as it is, good night.